Hi, Emily. My name is John Knight. I'm from Oklahoma. What makes the sky blue?
Fantastic question, John. In weather, this question is as basic as pumpkin spice in the fall. But do you know why the sky is blue? The short answer is we see blue due to the scattering of sunlight. The sun is actually white. This white light is made of a rainbow of colors, like this beautiful picture here. And each single color has a different wavelength. Red has the longest, and you can see violet has the shortest, indicated by little squiggly lines. Molecules and particles in the sky scatter the sunlight. The shortest wavelengths scatter the most. So in this case, if violet's the shortest, why aren't we seeing a purple sky? Well, the sun emits more blue light than violet. But if you were a bee, the sky might look like this, with a hint of purple. Bees can see more colors than humans. The sky is blue to us because of how our eyes work. Human eyes are more sensitive to blue. If you have a weather or science question, let me know. Go to KFOR.com/Ask Emily, and maybe your question will be answered on KFOR. I'm meteorologist Emily Sutton.
What color is it if you're colorblind?
I have no idea.
That's
Maybe just kind of gray?
I'm going to ask him.
But we have some beautiful sunsets here in Oklahoma for sure.
Yes, we do.
Really, the array of colors.
Hail. We see a lot in Oklahoma. Michael Milburn from Yukon asks how different sizes of hail form. To answer his question, we head to iFly Indoor Skydiving in OKC. This is a giant tube of glass. Powerful fans create winds over 100 miles per hour so people can simulate skydiving. Think of this wind as the powerful warm air that feeds a storm called an updraft. This wind picks up water droplets, shown here by Aaron Brackett, and carries them to the top of the cloud where it's cold enough for water to freeze. Downdrafts and gravity pull the frozen droplet down, and it flies back up in the cloud. It gets coated with another layer of water. The loop continues, and each trip around the cloud adds a layer. The stronger the wind, the larger the hail. Some updrafts can exceed 100 miles per hour, creating giant hail. Eventually, the hail gets so big the updraft can't keep up, and the hail falls to the ground. For Ask Emily, I'm meteorologist Emily Sutton. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to encounter some rough air. Please fasten your seatbelts. Turbulence is no joke and can be downright scary. Lisa Harvey Reed of Norman has always wondered what exactly causes turbulence on an airplane. That's a great question, Lisa. You see, most turbulence is light. The worst turbulence, though, is caused by something that cannot be predicted or seen on radar, known as CAT. Nope, not that kind of CAT. CAT stands for clear air turbulence. You see, the jet stream is around 35,000 feet above the earth. And when an airplane encounters a jet stream, the border between calm air and 250 miles per hour can definitely lead to a bumpy ride. Now, clouds are a little more predictable. Rising and sinking air can rattle a plane for a moment. Mountains kind of do the same thing, but with clear air. It does create turbulence. Turbulence is scary, but the odds of crashing are low. Scientists are studying how lasers could one day get rid of turbulence. If you have a question about weather or science, submit it at KFOR.com/Ask Emily. I'm meteorologist Emily Sutton. Good morning, Oklahoma. We made it to Friday, and big changes on the way for the weekend. I'll have more on your Veterans Day forecast coming up. But first, let's talk about the fantastic weather yesterday. Hopefully you enjoyed it. How about this viewer picture? We appreciate your viewer pictures. This one's pretty, but it also serves a purpose because Rogue Dead Guy on Twitter is wondering, what is this little rainbow in the sky called? Well, great question. This is an example of atmospheric optics. Let's talk about it. I've mentioned it before, but what's key in this phenomenon are those high-level clouds, those cirrus clouds or cirrus stratus clouds. If they're blanketing the sky, they're comprised of teeny tiny ice particles. And in this instance, they're in the shape of a hexagon. So what happens is the light from the sun goes in, bends, and then as it goes out, it bends another way out of the ice crystal. And the bending of the light is what forms this halo. And sometimes you can see these little miniature rainbow spots, usually on both sides of the halo. And that's called a sundog. It can also happen at night. And then in that case, it's called a moondog. So there is your nerd fact for the day. Let's go ahead. James Hibden from Edmond, Oklahoma asks, how is lightning generated? Great question, James. A little complicated, but we see a lot of lightning in Oklahoma, and it's all about electricity. You just have to think of a storm like a battery, except 100 million volts. So this is how a storm forms. We all know that the storms build high up into the atmosphere, climbing up to 60,000 feet or greater. And what happens is it goes high up in the atmosphere, ice particles form, and when they collide, they can create an electric charge. The positive charges go to the top of the cloud. The negative charges go to the base of the cloud. And what happens is that continues to strengthen. Up to 80% of lightning actually happens within the cloud. Now, the difference of the charges is what causes the lightning. When it comes to cloud to ground lightning, what happens is that in response to that negative base of the cloud, you have positive charges forming at the ground. And the charges reach out to each other, and when they connect, that's the lightning that you and I see. If you have a question about the weather or science, maybe you'll be featured on the next Ask Emily. Submit your question at kfor.com/Ask Emily. I'm meteorologist Emily Sutton. Oklahoma is familiar with extreme weather this time of year. In fact, the latest 100-degree day for OKC happened on September 30th, 1977. On the other side of the spectrum, OKC can have a freeze as early as October 8th, and that happened in 2012. So which is it, hot or cold? Is fall here to stay? Well, first, let's take a look at our 8 to 14-day outlook to get an idea of the first week of October. You see, Oklahoma is forecast to have slightly above normal temperatures. Usually it's in the upper 70s. And we're also forecast to have slightly below normal rainfall for the first week of October. So when will it finally feel like fall? Well, it depends on who you ask, but on October 1st, we go from 78 degrees for an average high and 57 for an average low, to the end of October, where our average high is 68 degrees and 46 for the average low. So that is a 10-degree temperature drop. Now take sunrise and sunset. When you factor it in, we also lose 1 hour and 4 minutes of daylight. So you may want to wait until the middle of October to put the pumpkins on the porch. I'm meteorologist Emily Sutton. Irma made landfall early Sunday morning in the Florida Keys, packing sustained winds of 130 miles per hour. This is the first time 2 Category 4 hurricanes have made landfall in the continental U.S. in the same year, let alone back-to-back. Irma hit Cuba Saturday as a Category 5 hurricane. This hasn't happened since 1932. And did you know that almost all hurricanes spawn tornadoes? According to the Storm Prediction Center, Irma spawned at least 7 tornadoes in Florida Friday and Saturday, including this one from Fort Lauderdale. You see that? And that's not even including all the water spouts. Finally, lots of people are talking about this. Check out this video of water rapidly retreating from Tampa Bay, almost like a tsunami is approaching. This is a real phenomenon. It's rare with powerful hurricanes called wind-induced setback. Powerful winds ahead of a hurricane pulls water from bays. It looks like fun, but danger is on the horizon. The opposite effect happened once Irma passed with a storm surge up to 10 feet. And that's your 60 seconds of science. I'm meteorologist Emily Sutton.